As an individual, today we subscribe to a lot of services for our fulfillment, be it telecom operations, be it with banking services, be it with insurance services, these days, food delivery, or even cab hailing services, etc. Now, as consumers, when we have a need, we reached out to the service providers to resolve our query, complaints, issues, etc. And when we reach out, we have multiple mediums to reach out today. We can pick up a digital channel like a chatbot or an IVR application, or even social media. And then we end up invariably talking to an agent, a live agent, contact center agent, as we call them, to listen to us, hear us out, fix our problems, resolve our queries, complaints, or requests, and then move to the next stage of recording our conversation back into the backend systems. Okay. Now, where conversational AI plays a major role is that if you look at all these conversations that are happening between the agent and a customer, right, a lot of them can be automated today. A lot of them, as it goes to an agent, can be analyzed on real-time basis. And a lot of those conversations, once goes through the conversation finishes between the agent and the customer, can be post facto analyzed as well, right? And summaries can be generated by the systems. And all that is made possible today by the layer of AI that is embedded into those conversations. So from a first touch point of the customer to resolving their query, complaint, and request through digital and human-based channels, one can run through entire conversation through a layer of AI as well, supporting the conversation on a real-time basis, identifying the emotion, the real intent of the caller, and resolving that with the right emotional responses back by the human agent or the virtual agent, all in real-time mode. And that's what conversational AI is all about. It's a technology which supports each and every conversation today that happens with an enterprise and the consumers in a more effective manner, bringing in more productivity and elevating the overall customer experience.
So can I say it is one step evolution about the chatbots that we have today on our Facebook and all those?
Certainly. So chatbot is one particular way of conversing, conversation between the enterprise and the consumer. It's just one medium which is automated by a backend system. And the responses that we receive is largely by an AI supported mechanism. But chatbot is just one part of the communication. Today, if you look at the strata of consumers, they are of different age groups, and each of those consumers have different preference in terms of how they would like to communicate with the enterprise. One can use a chatbot, one can use email, phone call, or social media. And across all those parameters, all right, there are different technologies today available, but all of them today are part of the one single layer of conversational AI, which can be used and utilized across the entire leg of the conversation, putting an unstructured conversation to a structured format, and then enabling enterprises to really use that for their own business benefits.
Okay. So I think we can delve more into this conversational service market. I would like to know what is the size of this market. What is the the volume that is being transacted per year annually? Could you give us an idea of how big this market is right now globally?
Certainly, Ujjal. If you look at the overall customer service market, right, and includes technology, people, process, products, and all of it, pre-pandemic, the overall market was about $380 billion, right, with major pockets of customer service market spread across some geographies globally. In Middle East, it is Egypt. In Asia, South Asia, it is India. Southeast Asia, it's Philippines, and then some Eastern European pockets as well. But post-pandemic, as the leg of digital transformation really picked up, right, and organizations started looking at improvement of productivity all across the board, the entire contact center domain, which provides customer service, was looked at in a more deeper way because of the number of people that are associated with the contact center. And within that, the overall customer service market really had a major jump in terms of overall addressable market. So from a $380 billion, right now it is pegged at about $470 billion. And that's a jump that has happened in the last 18 months. If you look a little deeper into it, today, large enterprises had no other option but to go remote working. And how do you communicate when you are working remotely? You use tools which are in lines with video communication. You use collaborative tools to do joint work sessions, etc. And all those had an impact on how organizations will communicate with each other within the organization and beyond the organization. And I think with COVID, there was also a lot of pressure on organizations to really improve the productivity because profit margins were taking a big hit. And one of the best ways to execute productivity is to enable a layer of digital transformation, which can really improvise and improve all the aspects of people, process, and product for organizations. Well, absolutely. I think if you look at the overall video communication as a mechanism, right, and I'll start pinning down a little bit of that data and information for the Middle East market as well. Today, Uniphore has done a lot of research and surveys across the globe to really identify how video communication has taken shape. On an average, and I'm talking about average information here, 60% of the survey population that we had has said that they have spent increased number of hours in video communication during the pandemic, which was not the case. And where are all this communication happening? It is largely between relatives and family members who are not in the same location, but in different locations. Second, across enterprises within their own internal communication, people collaborating over video channels. Third, of course, you mentioned about EdTech, which is a major focus areas for students studying online and really conversing with their teachers and educators across the globe. And beyond that, I think it has also gone into a mode where online customer collaboration, partner collaboration, sales activities, etc., have really taken shape in a big way. In the world where we were not enabled to travel and struggling to travel, right? Business had to continue in some form or fashion. Now, what was pegged at being converted into a video-based motion of collaboration, either between a customer and a vendor or a partner to a partner or within enterprise, what would have happened 5 years from now? The pandemic has just accelerated the entire program and everything just happened now itself.
Exactly. So I believe many of the innovations also happened during this period, during the pandemic period. Many of the innovations in the video, video platforms. So I would like to know some of the innovations and technological progress that Uniphore has made.
So during the pandemic, one of the things, as you rightly mentioned, Ujjal, sometime back, that the modes of communication have drastically changed, right? Now, if you look at Uniphore was predominantly focused on voice and AI-based technologies for contact center market and customer service market.
Right.
And the organization really propelled its way into that market through its innovation around conversational service automation platform that we built. And that platform today is enabled and deployed across multiple large enterprises globally, including some of the largest BPM players in the market, the likes of Tech Mahindra, WNS, Sitel, Entity Data, etc. Now, as that was happening and we got into a world where conversation was getting extended beyond contact center in a digital mode to video communication channels, we found an opportunity to go ahead and acquire a company called Emotion Research Lab based out of Spain.
Okay.
And that really differentiated us from our platform play. Today, Uniphore is the only company globally which is voice and video AI being enabled in its platform, coming in together as one single platform.
Okay.
Now, where do we see innovation taking play in that segment? If you look at today, some of the major video interaction platforms, the one that we're talking through right now, or some messaging platforms that we have, where a lot of video communication happens, we can go ahead and extend our capability of not only understanding the voice parameters, with a lot of AI being enabled, understanding the intent of the caller and the sentiment of the caller through tonalities,
Right.
but with the video capability, now we have a factor of also understanding the overall behavioral aspects of the individual through their facial reactions as well, right?
Yeah.
So really identifying the emotions behind the interaction, which plays a major role in terms of decision-making process. So major areas of innovation as we see, Ujjwal, would be automate and optimize conversation in real-time mode, which includes both voice and video capabilities. It's happening on real-time mode. Second, deepening the overall human communication or connections, as I say, right? When we are doing a call and not the video, but just the call, we tend to listen to a conversation and try to gauge what the person is trying to sort of mean here. But the moment we enable a video as well, along with that, we have a very deepened connection with that individual whom we are talking to, right? The third is the overall operationalizing and optimizing the productivity part, right? As we are talking right now, and let's say there are calls where there are 10, 12, 15, 20 individuals are part of one single call. And at times we fail to understand who's doing what in that call and how they're behaving and how they're reacting. And all those information, if can be gauged by an AI-based layer, which is not only looking at facial expressions and then the inputs that are providing during the call, can also highlight to the other users on what does it means for the user to communicate. Let's say if there are 4 of us talking right now, and if Sinanda here has not paid any interest into the conversation and looking into her phone, I know that she's not interested. So I now need to redirect my conversation in such a way that I make her interested into that conversation, right? And those inputs can really deepen the human connection, right? Okay. Now, if I have to put that across some interesting anecdotes here, right? There is a study which was done by Professor Elbert Mehrabian, right? It's called a 738-55 rule.
Oh.
Right? The 738-55 rule basically depicts on how our decision-making process really works, right? When we decide on either buying something, or we decide on a certain process, or we decide on hiring a certain individual, etc., what we heard through our ears as a voice communication, 7% decision-making process or decision-making part is attributed to the voice component.
Okay.
Right. 93% is related to the empathy and emotional connect that we have in that conversation. If I further break it down, so that was a 7, the 38 is the tonal input that I'm providing. How effectively I'm communicating, how effectively I am providing my emotional aspect into those conversations or into those ways, phrases that I'm putting forward, has an impact as well. But the biggest impact, which is 55%, comes from the overall facial expressions that I'm putting forward. Okay. Right? And my 7% decision making is actually reliant on the 93% emotional connect that we have, which accounts with both voice and facial inputs. So in terms of innovation, we are playing around all those areas, figuring out what kind of use cases we can really take into the market from video perspective. It can be around edtech, it can be around sales, it can be around marketing, HR, hiring, and there can be hundreds of different use cases, right? And right now, the entire aspect is being enabled to integrate. So the Emotion Research Lab technology is getting integrated with the platform while we're working on the use cases around those verticals.
Okay, I would like to get a few technical info here. So the AI engine, I believe there must be some data centers, some servers. Are they all based in Singapore? Where is it based in?
So we have global partnerships with large cloud service providers, and they have their own centers globally all over the world. And today, because we have global partnerships with them, we are not stuck to hosting them in one single location.
Okay.
Because there are customer data involved and local sovereign data involved. Our servers are usually located within the same country where the customers are, so
Okay.
that we have data sovereignty in place. So Ujjwal, if you look at the Middle East market, it is a very interesting market in terms of its consumption of innovation. Right? It has always been in the forefront of acquiring new technologies, trying them out. It's one of the most innovative geographies across the globe. Of course, led by countries like UAE and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where innovation plays a major role in terms of how consumers are using some of these services. And enterprises have always led the way. We really wanted to come into that market a little earlier, but because of COVID, we had to move our plans by a year or so.
Yeah.
Having said that, the initial results are very, very heartening. We are seeing some great traction in the market.
Right.
And I think from our perspective, having done this over multiple times across the globe in multiple different geographies and languages, right? Middle East, for that matter, is a very interesting territory for us because today our platforms and products are suitable to service the local markets with local language needs like Arabic, of course, English in multiple different variants. Given the cosmopolitan nature of the geography, we cover those languages, and today our products are enabled for the Middle East market.
Okay. Okay. And previously you mentioned about emotion research labs. So how did that happen?
Well, as I've told, right, the company as an organization, while we were covering a lot of conversations, the conversations themselves are taking new shape, and we're taking new shape at that point in time during COVID. And it is a natural extension for someone like Uniphore, which really has been thriving on conversations. Now, the conversations are expanding beyond voice and getting into video. It was a natural progression for us to really figure out how we can extend the platform to video AI as well. Now, obviously, as an organization, we are an extremely R&D heavy organization. I am myself an engineer, and we always delved into creating our own IP. But in this case, there was an option for us to either build, buy, or partner, right? And the buy option was perhaps the best possible option in front of us. And Emotion Research Lab had an incredible technology and a great set of team, which really worked out for us from culture perspective, from technology perspective, and of course, gives us access to the entire European market as well.
Great, great. So in a way, I can say that with more such acquisitions, you're only going to get into more verticals related to virtual interactions.
Well, Ujjwal, if I have to print a picture out here for you, I think Uniphore today is at a domain where we are built for large enterprises globally and enabling them with AI across any and every conversation that is happening in that organization, be it internal, be it external with their partners or with their customers. And it's a one-stop platform which can not only cater to the needs of today, but also can cater to the needs of 3 years from now. It's a future-ready platform which has been built on a ton of microservices and continuously expanding across verticals, across use cases, and across products.
Right. Actually, you gave a prelude to my next question. I was about to ask Ki, since you are an engineer, I would like to know your opinion about what's going to happen for the next 5 years. Can you give a forecast to us for in this virtual communication field? So,
well,
yeah,
Ujjwal, in the pandemic world that we live in, right, predicting what will happen tomorrow itself is a big challenge. You asked me 5 years from now. Okay, this is how I see things moving, right? From our lenses, the consumer are going to be spoiled for choices, not only in terms of service providers, but also in terms of the choices they have to reach out to those service providers, right? At the same time, it's also important for enterprises to know that given that consumers will be spoiled for choices, the only way to hold back to the existing consumers and build a big base will be by delivering a better customer experience.
Right, right.
And organizations which will really focus on customer experience can really have a lead in their own domain and in their own segment. I think it's at a cusp of or in a zone where like what internet did back in the late 90s is what AI is doing now.
Right.
Companies which really took shape and took advanced shape in terms of moving into the internet era faster than others
Exactly.
had a big benefit compared to their peers in the industry. Organizations which will take lead now in terms of adoption of AI will have a bigger advantage compared to their peers as well. So in the next 5 years, the way I see it is that some of these methods of conversation are going to transform completely. Second, everything will be surrounded by AI and IoT. We'll be more and more talking to machines. We'll be more and more talking constantly to digital avatars.
Right.
And for all of them to be activated, a lot of AI has to be worked on with. And for enterprises, I think it will be more important for them to have a holistic view on how they're going to consume the layers of AI vis-a-vis how it is being looked at this point in time.
Yeah.
I read a survey sometime back published by Future of Work. It highlighted that 39% of IT leaders communicated that they already use some form of AI at this point in time in their organization, but not completely. Some portion. 33% leaders said that they will only look into AI-based technologies and solutions only 3 years from now. And 19% said that they will only look at such technologies only 5 years from now. Now, in my opinion, organizations which are taking lead now will set to benefit compared to others.
Okay. I'd just like to add to that point because when you said customer experience, I just clicked in my mind about 5G. Next 5 years, we are going to see a lot happening on the 5G platform. And with 5G, I've seen some documentaries, I've seen some videos where they demonstrate how they're going to leverage the whole holographic technology, and the augmented reality technology. So in that sense also, I believe Uniphore is working towards in that direction as well. Or there are some other, but yeah.
There are a lot of things happening, Ujjal. The whole approach of moving beyond siloed products to an entire platform is kept in mind from the perspective that we should be able to expand in multiple different directions.
Right.
As in when we need to get there, as the organization grows and as the market penetration takes a certain shape, our technology should be capable of handling that, and that's the reason why we really went ahead with the platform approach, which can expand across multiple different domains, from 5G to IoT to augmented reality and holographic technologies, etc. I think these are just some of the new age technologies we're talking about, but going forward, we'll be using glasses, we'll be having shoes to which we can talk to and understand how many steps we have walked rather than wearing a watch. There can be multiple different things. We'll be talking to our tires, we'll be talking to our refrigerators and microwaves. We are already talking to cars. So the point here is that the benefit that we see of us bringing to the table is that as human beings, as species, we like to talk.
Right.
And that's a native that will always remain to us. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, we'll always be social.
Either we talk to human beings or we talk to machines. We'll continue to talk. It's just that technology has to catch up. And I think we are currently well placed in terms of catching up with the technology as well.
Right. You're talking about catching up. I'd like to know from your perspective, which countries in this world currently are in the forefront of adopting this AI conversation technology?
I think US has always been in the forefront of leveraging new age technologies. In fact, where we see from a developed country to a developing country perspective, US is probably 3 years ahead than any of its peer in terms of adoption of new technologies and innovation in the conversational AI space.
Right.
Having said that, I mean, US is one. Of course, there are certain European countries who are fairly ahead. Australia is fairly ahead.
Yeah.
Middle East is catching up really fast, which is very heartening because, as I've told, Middle East is one country or one region rather where innovation plays a major role and adoption of innovation is significant. Now, having said that, the benefit that developing countries have is that they don't have to take a conventional route of going from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, but they can just jump from 4 to 1 straight away. Because for consumers are already trained and they have decent enough smartphones on their hand to utilize whatever large enterprises throw at them in terms of technological advancements.
Right. See, this technology jump that we see, I would just add to that point. In certain countries, they have some regulatory issues, some roadblocks in implementing this technology in their country. So, in that sense, I would like to know from your point of view, what are those regulatory issues and how Uniphore has tackled them? Every country, in all the 13 countries, I'm sure you must have faced some of those regulatory issues, and according to that, you must have made some changes in those applications. So, I would like to know what is your wholesome package for all these regulatory roadblocks, blockades, and all?
So, Ujjal, let me share with you a couple of quick points here. One, data privacy and data sanctity is a big factor, right?
Yeah.
And for obvious reasons, it is a big factor across any enterprise that we deal today, across any geography.
Right.
One of the critical things that Uniphore has done is gone ahead and really established its partnerships locally across all these 13 to 15 countries that we're present in today. By ensuring that our platforms are deployed within the enterprise or within the country, if it is cloud-based service, within that geography itself, to provide data sanctity and data sovereignty for the enterprises. That's number one. Number two, it's also important to understand that we are dealing here with customer conversation. And what happens in those conversations can be anybody's guess.
Yeah.
You don't know what people talk about and what kind of information they provide, etc. And as an organization, we are extremely focused towards ensuring that we have the right layers of InfoSec built in through layers of PCI DSS compliance, GDPR compliance, PII compliance, SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, ISO 27001 compliance, HIPAA compliance, right? So we ensure that across geographies, whatever compliances are required, the products are built around those compliant layers.
Okay.
That's the second other aspect that we have really focused and covered on.
Okay. So no matter which country it is, you have met those compliance while developing itself, during the development stage itself.
It's critical. So you need to understand that today Uniphore deals with some of the largest companies, Fortune 50, Fortune 5, Fortune 100 companies. And if we are working with them in some form or factor, we will not be able to work with them unless we have those compliances in place. Will be not be allowed to even enter the gates of those organizations if we don't have those compliance in place. Right. And Uniphore has been fortunate to work with some of the largest of companies globally since its inception, which really has imbibed the overall culture of taking our security compliances very in a more focused way, very seriously, and deploy them and enable them for our customers globally. India, from its perspective, has done exceedingly well and incredibly well when it comes to adoption of mobile-based technologies, especially in the fintech space and mobile payment space. Mobile Payment Forum of India started back in 2007-2008 timeframe with a partnership between IDR-BT, which is a technology arm of RBI, and IIT Madras, through which I was the part of the initial founding group. And the whole essence of Mobile Payment Forum of India was to really promote mobile payments. What really came out of Mobile Payment Forum of India are the likes of IMPS-based money transaction. In fact, I remember I was part of the technology subgroup, which really created those strings of mobile payment transfers from one mobile to another mobile.
Okay.
But beyond that, it led to NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India. It further led to RuPay-based cards, and then finally UPI. And today, UPI has really enabled mobile transactions and interbank payment transfers in a big way. Back in 2012, 2013, when India was really getting on the trajectory of mobile payments to now, at that point in time, India was not even in the top 10 list of executing mobile payments.
Okay.
And as of today, if you look at the data of mobile transactions in India,
right,
it's double that of the largest mobile-based payment transactions globally happening, which is in China. India is double that of China at this point in time.
Wow.
That's the difference that Mobile Payment Forum of India has been able to create. Now, similar to that, I think a lot of actions are being taken today to come up with a national holistic AI strategy and AI plan, countrywide enablement. India is also, as you know, is focused really hard on the startup ecosystem, with Startup India as a program run by the government of India, supporting a lot of young companies. And then there are Software Technology Parks of India, which is called STPI, and Technology Development Board, and incredible amount of support coming in from those channels as well. Additionally, what really has happened well in India is that the government has really supported the entire incubation program, not only across government organizations, but beyond government organizations as well. And those incubation programs have really nurtured young minds in the right way for them to come up with multiple different new business ideas and then enabling them as startups globally. In India first, and then expanding them into global framework. The most recent based case out of that is Freshworks, started out of a very small labs out of India, and then today listing themselves in NASDAQ for more than $10 billion of listing. I mean, Girish has done an incredible work out there in executing, which is truly built in India, but made for the world product. Well, investors are doing well. They're investing in a lot of money, which is not bad. But for budding entrepreneurs, a couple of things I would like to quickly share. One, if you are really starting a company and you're a budding entrepreneur, don't think this as a short-term play. If you're thinking short-term, you will not be able to succeed in whatever you are doing.
Right.
As long as you are thinking long-term and building an organization, that's the only mode of being successful. And number two would be remain both patient and impatient. Remain impatient for short-term goals. Ensure that you execute them quickly, but be extremely patient for your long-term goals. It will not happen overnight. It will take its own time. What you plan for 3 years may even take 5 years, may take 7 years. Persistence is the key. As long as you are persistent with your goals, you will achieve it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ravi, for all the time you have spent for us. And thank you for all the insights that you have shared with us.
Thank you, Ujjal.